Hey there, storyteller. Welcome back to the New Lurco channel, where we will be discussing the 4 major brand antagonists holding your brand back. Obviously, in the fast-paced world of digital marketing, branding, it's obvious that small business owners are still going to find themselves grappling with numerous challenges that are hindering their success. Effective content strategy and brand strategy are crucial for overcoming these obstacles. Yet I find, as we're approaching 4 years in business, that many of these businesses struggle to identify, much less address the underlying issues that they're facing. And so in this video, I'm going to introduce 4 significant challenges, or what I call antagonists, that modern brands are facing. And these are lack of differentiation, audience apathy, vision paralysis, and reputational misery. And why antagonist? Because an antagonist, as you may well know, in the context of storytelling, is a force or character that opposes the protagonist or the hero. They create conflict and they drive the narrative forward. And I firmly believe that this concept can be applied to branding and marketing, where an antagonist represents the challenges or the obstacles that a brand needs to overcome in order to succeed. And I think that by identifying and understanding what these antagonists are, businesses can craft more compelling strategies to address their specific problems, much like a hero in a story conquering their foes. And so in this discussion, we use antagonists to highlight the primary hurdles that businesses, brands are facing. At least, again, in 4 years in business, these keep popping up. It's time and time again, brands are facing more than likely one of these 4 antagonists. And so we're setting the stage for strategic solutions so that they can emerge victoriously. And so by understanding these antagonists, business owners can begin to develop strategies, very targeted, tailored strategies to counter them and enhance their brand's impact. So we're going to dive into these 4 antagonists in a little bit more detail. However, before we begin, if you appreciate our videos and we've earned it, please give us a like, give the channel a follow so I can keep producing these videos for you. I know that I say that basically every time that I film a video, that I would like to keep producing these sort of long form videos, but I am an introvert, so sue me. Don't love it. But I'm coming to see that I think this is the most effective way of speaking on what I consider a very complex methodology, very complex concepts in a way that's easy and digestible for most people. So that said, let's dive right in. The first and potentially most common antagonist that we see in business is lack of differentiation. An incredible number of brands are struggling with differentiating themselves, leading to a sea of sameness where potential customers can't distinguish one brand from the other, literally cannot tell you apart from your competitors. Especially in sectors where products and services may essentially be the same, it can be incredibly hard to stand out as a unique player in a sea of saturation. If you take a deep, honest look at your brand, you see that perhaps your brand's message and visuals are similar to those of your competitors. Customers often compare you and your products to others solely based on price. And then your unique value proposition, otherwise known as the UVP, is unclear, maybe even non-existent. So then your brand risks becoming invisible in the marketplace. Customers are essentially going to choose competitors who offer clearer, more compelling reasons to buy, perhaps even just a slightly lower price. This can lead to decreased market share, lower profitability. You know the circus. You never want to compete with your competitors over a few dollars worth of difference. It's not sustainable. I'm trying to get you out of that. And I think the root cause of lack of differentiation often lies in insufficient understanding of the target audience, competitive landscape. You might be relying on generic marketing strategies without identifying your unique strengths or even how to communicate them effectively. So it's one of the first things that we do. It's like, if you don't know who your audience is and what your competitors are doing and perhaps what they're not doing and what places you can exploit that are available, then I recommend that you do a little bit of soul searching, sit down one afternoon, do a lot of research. I mean, just dive deep into your competitors and really establish what's going on in the environment, in your industry. And you have to, before you can do absolutely anything else, you really have to identify those couple elements. And in addition to that, I think a fear of taking risks can lead to brands playing it safe, resulting in bland and uninspired branding or messaging. And so what's the danger of remaining undifferentiated? I mean, it might be obvious to you, but brands that fail to differentiate often struggle with brand loyalty, customer retention. They find it challenging to command premium pricing, leading to a race to the bottom, essentially, in terms of pricing and profit margins. Over time, this can stifle innovation, growth, and as the brand lacks clear and compelling identity, it just doesn't get better. After differentiation, however, the second most common antagonist I see by far is what I've called audience apathy. And audience apathy occurs when your brand fails to engage and connect with its target audience emotionally. As a result, your content and your messaging fall flat and your audience remains totally indifferent. It's different from lack of differentiation because it manifests in ways like low engagement rates on social media and other digital platforms, minimal interactions with your content, such as like no comments, likes, shares, high bounce rates even, a low time spent on your website, which means people are hitting your website and they look at it and they're like, ugh, not for me. When your audience is apathetic, it's challenging to build a loyal customer base. Obviously, they're not connecting. And this lack of emotional connection can lead to poor brand recall, basically reduced word of mouth, no referrals, and ultimately stagnant or declining growth. So how or why does this happen? In our experience, audience apathy often results from a disconnect between the brand's messaging and the audience's needs, desires, and values. And so brands that focus too much, for example, on selling the products rather than building relationships are going to come across this. Additionally, a lack of authentic storytelling and engagement can make the brand seem distant, unapproachable, boring, even off-putting, which is terrible. Brands facing audience apathy may struggle to generate leads, convert them into loyal customers. They might also experience higher marketing costs as it simply takes more effort and resources to achieve the desired engagement levels. And ultimately, this is obviously going to hinder your brand's ability to grow and expand its reach. Third on our list of antagonists is vision paralysis. And this is a really interesting one, in my opinion. Vision paralysis occurs when a brand has a very clear vision and innovative ideas. So they have that part well identified, but they struggle to get buy-in from stakeholders or team members. This results in stagnation and an inability to execute the vision effectively. So unlike audience apathy that doesn't connect with an audience, vision paralysis is an inability to inspire and move others to action, including internal teams, which obviously is going to cause a clash in executing the vision. And so I see this most often in brands that are industry disruptors or nonprofits, maybe have an element of activism to them. And they have, it doesn't matter how innovative or noble their cause is, they cannot get anybody to buy in. And if you cannot get people to hold a banner for your cause, then the cause is not going to go anywhere. And so then this is going to lead to team members, stakeholders, even donors, investors not carrying the banner for your vision because they don't have buy-in. And frequent delays in project implementation due to lack of consensus is going to be another hurdle. Frustration, even low morale within the team. We see this time and time again. Because without a cohesive and aligned team, even the most innovative and noble ideas just fail to launch. And vision paralysis can stifle growth, lead to missed opportunities, create a culture of inertia within the organization. And so this goes way beyond a handicap of just external communication, external marketing. This is an issue that affects even internal communication within a brand, and this is going to really hurt you long term. Vision paralysis often occurs when leaders fail to articulate their vision compellingly or involve team members in the planning process. We also see it often results in apathy and even worse, resistance within the team. Additionally, organizational silos and conflicting priorities can hinder the execution of new initiatives. And so, obviously, brands suffering from vision paralysis may meet out on critical market opportunities, fail to gain momentum. In the case of a brand that maybe has like an activist element to it or is a nonprofit, not being able to communicate a vision that motivates and impels others to join you is obviously going to spell disaster. So this all leads to a stagnant brand that's unable to adapt to changing market conditions. And over time, this is going to erode whatever competitive advantage that you have and result in a declining market relevance. Our fourth antagonist, but potentially the most interesting to me personally, when I resolve for clients, is what I call reputational misery. And this is not going to be one that's very common out there, but there are brands and even entire industries that are touched by this antagonist that are going to recognize the sting for sure. So reputational misery arises when a brand is burdened by negative perceptions, myths, and of course, obviously even past mistakes that continue to impact its current reputation. This can even be due to totally outdated beliefs, cultural misinformation, unresolved issues that are completely outside of the control of your brand. We've seen it in industries like operate within the plastic industry, animal agriculture, or other industries that sort of have pervasive negative cultural stories that affect the entire industry and aren't necessarily based on how that individual brand operates, but it's still a burden. Obviously, mistakes that your brand has made are still going to hinder you as well. Like it might be your own reputation that you ruined. But signs that you're fighting this are going to include persistent negative reviews, comments online, difficulty shaking off past mistakes or negative associations, same thing, external or internal, challenges building trust with new customers, and a poor reputation can severely limit your brand's ability to attract, obviously, and retain customers. It also makes it difficult to forge new partnerships or collaborations. And over time, reputational misery can erode the customer trust and loyalty, leading to long-term damage for your brand. I mean, it's a mess for the people that have it. And it often arises from unresolved crises or inadequate responses to negative events or stories. Brands that fail to address customer concerns or transparently manage issues are going to find themselves trapped by negative narratives to just become pervasive. They take on a life of their own. Additionally, a lack of proactive reputational management can allow misinformation to spread unchecked. That's terrible if you don't seize hold of your own narrative. So whether the cause of your reputational issues are external to you or entirely your fault, it's obviously imperative that you counter those negative stories with real, authentic ones, or you're going to risk losing your audience forever. And so I know that these were very brief overviews. Hopefully you can kind of picture examples in your head. I'm going to dive into longer explanations about each one of them at a later date, but really understanding these four major antagonists. So again, lack of differentiation, audience apathy, vision paralysis, and reputational misery is going to be the first step in developing a robust content strategy and brand strategy. And so I'm sure one or more of these maybe sound familiar, and you're definitely not alone. Millions of businesses, both large and small, find themselves every day up against an opponent that they may recognize vaguely, but they have no clue how to beat. And so by recognizing these challenges and realizing which one applies to you most, because you might be fighting two, but more than likely there's a big one. There's one big one that's your core issue. And so if you can identify what that is, you can begin to formulate targeted approaches to overcome that issue, paving the way for better brand visibility, engagement. And the good news is that it's not just content strategy that's going to save you. New Lore, we've been working for weeks on something that I think is going to be incredibly special. But we're basically going to be bringing you solutions, tools, weapons even against your antagonist, because no hero has ever gone up against their antagonist empty-handed. And we want to be your ally, your mentor in whatever fight you have ahead. And we are ready and eager to give you exactly what you need, which for us means comprehensive tools like website templates, guidebooks that have been strategically built precisely to face the challenge you're up against. And if you're interested in learning more about Antagonists, our upcoming solutions, or just about narrative content strategy in general, please give us a follow, like this video, join our newsletter via our website at newloreco.com. And with that said, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time, storyteller.